So first we'll start with the new file, ActionScript 3.0 I'm taking, and then we'll create a simple character. After that, we'll be applying bonds to that, and then we'll see how it can be animated. So I'm going to click on this ActionScript 3.0. We got a new file. If you want to customize, Control J. You can change the size, state size. I'm making it 1280 by 720, and frame rate, I'll leave it as 24 frames per second, and then click OK, and double click the hand tool. When you double click hand tool, you can see the canvas comes fit to the screen. Okay, now first we'll create a character. Okay, when you're working with bonds, different characters, so when you're making, you need to make it into individual elements. That is, each moving element has to be a separate shape. And here we are going to make separate shapes, and each shape has to be a symbol also. Okay, so we're going to make a simple caterpillar. So hold the shift key and draw to get a perfect circle. And I want to make the border or the stroke thicker, so double click on the stroke. Now if you look at the properties panel, you can see the stroke properties are loaded here. The color is there, and then I'll choose some bright color. Let's give the stroke thickness bigger value, maybe 3 points I'm giving. So it's a thicker stroke. And for the inside, I'm going to apply a color. Okay, I want to apply a gradient here. So when you're working with Animate, if you want to apply gradients, you can see in the color palette itself, you can see this is actually the swatches. In the color swatches, you can see at the bottom portion, gradients are there, linear gradient,
Gradient.
radial, and colors are also available. I'll use the radial one. I'll take the radial one. And there is one tool we can use with the gradients. That is, if you go to this free transform tool, hold it, you can see this. Along with the free transform tool, there is one more tool, that is a gradient transform tool. F is the short key. So after applying a gradient, if you take this gradient transform tool, you can see we can edit the gradient here. So you can see this arrow, tiny arrow there, you can stretch it. Look at this, it's stretching like this. Control Z for undo. Or you can use this circle and stretch it all over, proportionately stretched. Okay, you can make it stretch. See this, like this. You can control, either use this for stretching widthwise, okay, or you can use the center circle so that you can stretch this one. Okay, I'm stretching it outside, I want it to be a softer one. Okay, so like this you can do. So this is with a radial gradient. Okay, if it's a linear gradient, I'll show that just to see how it looks like. I'll change this to I'll change this to linear gradient. Look at this. If it's a linear gradient, you can see the center point is there. You can drag and position it. And another thing is you can stretch it and can make it smoother. Okay, and one more option is you can rotate it like this. You can control the gradients here. Gradients can be controlled here. Undo, undo, undo. I don't want this. Okay, I want this one. Okay, so we adjusted this. Now it is a softer one. Next thing, I want to change the colors. Okay, if you want to edit the colors, what we need to do is go to the color panel. In this color panel, you can see at the bottom portion, the gradient swatch is there. This is a gradient swatch. In this gradient swatch, two boxes are there. These are the color stops. STOP, stop. Okay, so we have two color stops. One is a white and the other one is a black. If you want to change color, click here or you can double click. Okay, then pick whatever color you want to apply. From the center, I'm using this one, a pale red. And instead of black, double click. I'll apply maybe it's too identical. Let's see. Right, like this you can apply the colors. And with this gradient slider, if you move the cursor, you can see a plus mark is coming. That means you can add extra color stops. I'm clicking here, look at this, an extra color stop is there. If you want, you can add an extra color like this. Okay, I don't want this. So if you don't want a color stop, just drag it down, pull it down, so it's gone. Like this, you can customize the gradient that you apply. So what we did was we went to the fill option, and under that we pick a standard gradient. And after picking the standard gradient, we use the gradient transform tool for customizing that gradient, or transforming that gradient. After that, we made the changes here in the gradient slider. Okay, you can, after creating a gradient, you can also use the paint bucket, that's for filling. See, wherever you fill, you get that gradient we have already applied. Okay, undo. Okay, so we have the shape here, and as we said before, these and you're animating, each shape has to be a symbol. So this portion, okay, maybe I'll draw the eyes also, or I want to prevent the sticky property. So what I'm going to do is double click or highlight, then control G for group. It won't stick. Okay, now the eyes. For the eyes, I'll make a big circle, and the inside, that's I want the gradient. Okay, so we have the gradient here. Oh, sorry. For some reason, it's not coming. Okay, I want it to be blue. The black, I'm going to convert to blue. So it is bluish and white in the center. Okay, then another circle, delete the border, select it, we'll make it into black, right? So if you don't want it to be sticky, control G, then pick the black, control G. So the eyes are there. Maybe one more circle, no border, double click the border, delete, I'll make it into white, control G, it won't stick. See this. So the eyes, one eye is ready. Highlight all the three, alt and drag. And dropping it here. If you want to make it into a complex animation, like each element needs to be animated, then you can highlight and distribute it to separate layers. But here we don't want that. So I'm just putting it like this. And then I'm going to make the tendrils a straight line. Uh, right. Then a circle. Okay. Control G for group. Alt and drag and place it here. And then right click like we did before, move to a transform, flip horizontal the other way, move it. And when I'm moving, I'm holding the shift key so that it moves faster. Without shift, it goes like this. When you press shift, it jumps like this. So shift arrow, left
Okay.
or right arrow again, so it moves faster. Right, so that is done. Then let's make a nose, nose or mouth, whatever it is. Again, I'll go for the gradient. I'll use a red, green. Control G, right. Okay, that is the face of the caterpillar. I'm highlighting this F8, and I'm going to convert it to a movie clip symbol. I'm naming it face. Click OK. So the face is ready. Now the next thing is the body. For that, I'm making a circle. Okay, circle is ready. Now I'm changing the colors. Maybe like, you can also use a slider, move the sliders like this. slider, right. F8. Oh, that's also a movie clip now. Circle. Now we need the copies of this. Alt and drag. Alt and drag. Alt
Duplicate.
and, yeah, right. Alt and drag like this. I want to scale this. Okay, the second one I'm selecting, go to transform panel along with the align. Transform panel is there. Click on a transform panel. In this transform panel, you can see the width is there, the height is there, 100%, 100%. And next to it, you can see a chain option, that is a link. Okay, if you uncheck this, that is, if you unlink, width and height can be changed individually. If you link it, that's a default one. If you change one value, the other will follow like this. 90%. Next one, I'm making 80%. Next one, maybe 75%. Next one, 70. So that size is changing like that. 70, 65. Okay, let this be, okay, 65. Okay, okay, right, like this. And okay, I'm selecting all the shapes. Go to align, uncheck align to stage. Then say align bottom. Based on the selection, see it's aligned. And let's try distributing also. Uh, no, distribute. I'll select everything. So these the shapes are selected. When you click on distribute, this is distribute horizontally. Then what happens is the elements are distributed between the first and the last object. Let's say distribute. See this, it came like this. Okay, right. Rest of the things I'll manually adjust. Right. So it is attached like this. You can add more details if you want. I'm not doing that. Okay, so we have all the shapes here. Remember, each element is a symbol. Bonds works with symbols. So each element is symbol. And then if you check the library, we have only two symbols, the phase and the circle. So no need to make symbol, symbol, symbol like that. Just take the copy and adjust the size as required. Okay, now we're going to use the bond feature. Let's go to bonds. This is the bond. Take the bond tool, and then now we're going to attach the bond to this structure. See, it says layer one. When I start using bond, see, I'm using the bond like click and drag. Look at the pink line, it's getting stretched. I'm releasing it at the
Mm,
second symbol. Release at the second symbol. See, these two shapes are connected. This is a bond. And look at this, there is a new layer formed. It says armature. Armature is a bond structure. Now armature layer is automatically formed. And once you connect like this, each shape is getting transferred to the armature layer. From the layer one, it is transferred to the armature layer with the bonds. Okay, now one by one we are going to connect. Stretch it to the
connect
next.
everything.
Right, one by one you connect. Right, now if you look at this, this layer Z, layer one is blank. No content is there. When you hide, it's blank. If you hide the the armature layer, the whole thing is going. So the armature layer is an active one. Now selecting the layer one, we don't want that. Delete it. Right, that's it. Okay, so we have this thing. Now what happens is after the bond thing is done, now take the selection tool. With the selection tool, if you click here, look at this, you can see the bond structure. And the next thing, if I try to drag it, see the bond is working now. It is working. Okay, I want to adjust the thing. See, when I'm moving this, it's overlapping. Okay, I want to adjust the position of the bonds. Okay, right now it's coming like this. I want to adjust the position of the bonds. So for that, if you want to adjust the position, what we do is instead of selection tool, we use the free transform tool. Free transform tool. This. Take the free transform tool. Now, if you click on a shape, you can see the anchor point. Actually, this anchor point will be the bond position. You can position it like this. Then automatically the bond will be attached to that position. Bond joint, the joint will be connected there. You can put it here or in the center, wherever you want. See this from here. I'm dropping here. I'm using spacebar for panning. Drop it here and drop it here. Right now, back to the selection tool. So for editing, use the free transform tool. For animating, use the selection tool. Look at this. Everything is connected like this. See, now it is end to end. It is connected. Okay. Now, oh, sorry. Now let's see how we can do the animation process, animation thing. Here in this timeline, you can see if you just stretch it, I'm not giving any tween, it's automatically coming with a motion tween. So if I place a current time indicator here and then move like this, you can see a dot is formed. This is called a pause. A pause is created. It's like a keyframe. It's like a keyframe. A pause is formed.
Okay, automatically.
Yes. Just stretch it up to
Okay.
whatever you want and then adjust the movement. So it's 2 seconds duration. Right. Control enter. So it's formed like this. So that's a simple bond animation. It's a straight one. Okay, so I'm going to close this. Now, for example, if it is something like a character or something with legs and other legs, hands and all, then what happens? Action script 3.0. I'll make a like a stick, just make a shape. Okay, like we did before, convert to symbol. I'm not giving any detail. Then maybe the body. If you, while drawing a rectangle, if you hold the down arrow, you get rounded corners. If you use the up arrow, you get inset corners. Down, 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 down. Now it's a down arrow. Right. Okay. I'll use the free transform. And I'm going to hold the control key so you can stretch it. Control shift to both the sides. Okay. If it's a fat person, stretch like this. If it is a well-built body, make it like this. Okay. Like this. Control shift for moving to both the sides. If it is only control, you can stretch to one side only, right? And then F, double click, F8, that's the body. Okay, down the upper arm, F8, you can name it if you want. And then another one, F8, right? Alt and drag to the other side. Alt and drag to the other side. Okay, now the pelvis portion. Okay, free transform, control shift, right? And then F8, and then the legs. Make sure it's these are all symbols. F8, So we quickly made a character. Alt and drag. Got to duplicate. Right. And okay, let's make it smaller, or you make the canvas bigger, whatever it is. Okay, so we have the character here. Then, okay, I'll make one circle, a small circle also. This is like a symbol. It's a symbol, F8, but we use this for controlling. At the end, I'm placing. Then I'll place one here. As a controller, we can use this, or you can keep it as it is, like the feet or the palm. Okay, right. So this character is ready. And then now I'll use the bond. And I'm taking the bond. And for this character, layer one is there. And when you're making a character, we have to start from the center. That is, from the chest, I'm starting from here to the neck. Okay, so it is connected. So this is the center point, center pivot point, we can say. And now from the same point, I'm going to stretch to the shoulder, then to the lower arm, then to the controller or the palm, whatever name you give. Okay, now the other side, shoulder to the knee, right. And then from here to the pelvis, and from the pelvis portion to the uh, right, move it, move it. If we didn't place a small circle, we cannot attach here. The controlling will be difficult. Okay, that's why we use that. We added this. So we applied it like this. Now we can use the free transform tool and decide how you want it to be. I'll delete this layer one. It's blank now. So this structure is ready. So the bond structure is ready. Now if I rotate, right, now it's coming like this. Look at the leg. Right, it's working. But there is a problem. The problem is if I move it, see, it's coming like this. We don't want this to happen. Okay, so now all the bonds are working, but here it is working like a normal bond, but we don't want it to be moving like this.
Mm. Like
Right.
fold, one more fold.
Right,
Yeah.
yes. This should be the shoulder bond. Normally the shoulder bond will not move, only the hand will be moving. Right. So what we do is select that shoulder bond like this. The green color will come. Click on that shoulder bond. You can see the green color. Then go to properties. And in the properties, you can now see the properties of the bond. The location, below that joint rotation, joint translation, and joint Y translation. Translation stands for moving. Okay, X and Y axis movement. And here we don't want this to be rotating. So what we do is click on the green as the shoulder bond, go to properties panel, under the joint rotation, disable, that is remove the tick mark here. Now what happens is, now let's try, look at this. Now the shoulder bone is sticky. It won't move. It won't move. It stick to the position. So it won't move. And let's try the other side. See, that also is coming like that. So left and right is automatically locked. Now the same for the leg. See this. It's coming like this. We don't want that to happen. This pelvis bone has to be locked. Highlight, remove this joint rotation feature. Now check this. It is moving like this, and here both way it's coming like this. Okay, now the next thing. Perfect. Okay, now I did undo. Right. Okay, now another thing is the hand is, see, it should not be like this. So what we do is I'm picking this bond, and this time we don't want to disable this. We want it to rotate, but it has to be restricted. Okay, so it should not rotate 360 degrees. So what we do is select the bond, and then you can see under joint rotation there is a feature called constraint. If you turn on the constraint, click here, constraint, what happens is the rotation is restricted. See this, it restricts the rotation. You can see a blue thing here. There is a blue thing, that is the restriction. Even if you zoom in, you cannot see it bigger. See, this is the maximum. It can be rotated like this, like this. You can customize it by changing the angle, expand, so it goes up, and bottom, now it is stretched like this. So you can rotate up to this point, and here it can be rotated like this. Okay, so this rotation is now constrained. Okay, so like we did before, you just stretch it and then position, animate the character, maybe an action sequence or maybe a dance. So each one you can control. Control enter and check. Now the character is animated with the bond. Right.
Okay.
Right. And it looks good. See, one trick, if you don't want the circle to be displayed, it looks okay. But if you don't want this to be displayed, there is a simple technique. We know that. I think this is the thing, the symbol 8. Double click and just right click on the layer name and say mask. Then what happens? Look at this. The circles are invisible. So if you want, you can hide like this. Optional. If you don't want, leave that step. Okay. So if you don't want to see the circle, that is, if you are using it as a controller, you can simply hide it. Okay. So this way you can create character animation using bonds. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. That's it with bonds.
Okay. So send me the recording of this one as well. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.